I'm Kathy. I'm sitting in my 12th floor apartment in Denver, looking out at the mountains through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city below is bustling, but I feel a strange sense of peace. It's been a long journey to get here, a journey that started with a false accusation and ended with me finding my own voice. It all began on a sunny Sunday morning at my parents' house. My little sister, Lily, who was 22 and studying pre-med, had transformed the backyard into a beautiful brunch setting. There were white linen tablecloths, mimosas, and a carefully curated playlist. My mother, Sarah, a strict and judgmental woman, commented that it was tasteful yet a bit over the top. My father, Tom, a laid-back but somewhat distant man, stood by the grill, even though there was no meat, just as he always did for show. I was pouring drinks, as usual, not saying much. I had always been the quiet, helpful older sister, the one who knew how to stay out of the way. I thought I was doing a good job of it. Lily tapped her champagne flute with the back of a spoon, and the music paused. "I just want to say something real quick," she said. I assumed it would be about her med school applications or a new boyfriend. I wasn't really paying attention because I was trying to get an ice cube out of someone's mimosa. I didn't look up until I heard her say my name. It's awkward, but I found my necklace, the diamond one Grandma left me. It was missing for weeks, and yesterday I found it in Kathy's drawer, she announced. There was an immediate silence. A fork dropped onto the china, and I could hear my mother's sharp intake of breath. My father didn't even look at me, he just reached for a cloth napkin and started wiping a spot that wasn't there. "I didn't take anything," I said, but my voice sounded uncertain. My mother let out a sigh, the kind of sigh that said she'd been right all along. "I knew it," she whispered. "I knew you'd be jealous of her eventually." That hurt more than the accusation itself. Lily stood there, arms folded, looking completely unfazed, as if she was doing everyone a favor. "I just think it's better we put it out there now, so we can move on," she said. No one spoke. The entire backyard was filled with an electric tension, like the moment before a lightning strike. And then I looked down and saw that the orange juice I was holding had spilled across the table. I hadn't even noticed my hand shaking. That night, I was asked to leave. My father simply said, "You should go before this gets worse." I didn't cry. I packed what I could into a canvas duffel bag and sat on the porch steps until my friend, Mia, came to pick me up. The air was thick with an uncomfortable silence, the kind families use when they don't want to face the truth. I left without asking why because deep down, I already knew. At Mia's apartment, she didn't say much. She just gave me the spare key and a comfortable pillow. I slept for 12 hours straight, without a single dream. When I woke up, I sat in her kitchen, drinking coffee that wasn't mine and wearing a t-shirt that wasn't mine, and I realized something that had been true for a long time. I hadn't just been pushed out that night, I had been slowly fading out of my family for years. It had started small, like when the electricity bill was about to be cut off, and I offered to set up auto pay from my account. That was 7 years ago, and I never stopped. Then there were the groceries. My mother would text me every week with a list, never a thank you, just a list. Lily's tuition was next. She said there was a problem with the bursar, something about my father missing a form. I paid the balance online and told them it was from a family scholarship. They never asked who. Even the mortgage. When my father lost his job, I started sending small payments directly to the loan account. I kept doing it even when he got a new job. No one ever asked why the statements stopped coming, they just assumed everything was being taken care of. I had a spreadsheet in my Google Drive called Family Expenses. I used colors to keep track, green for monthly bills, blue for annual support, and red for anything late. Every few months, I'd adjust the formula so the totals wouldn't scare me. I told myself I was helping my family stay afloat, that family meant sacrifice. But as time went on, I felt more like a silent subscription they'd forgotten they'd signed up for. I remembered the day I got my first full-time job. I called my mother, excited. She said congratulations and then asked if I could help with Lily's textbooks that semester. There was no pause, no question about how I was doing, just another request. I said yes, of course. Back then, I always did. There were signs, looking back. Like the time Lily joked at dinner that I was just a background character in her life. Everyone laughed, including me. But as I got older, I realized she wasn't joking. That's how they saw me, supportive, silent, and optional. Even my birthdays changed. One year, they completely forgot about it. When I brought it up, my mother said, "Oh, I thought we celebrated early." We hadn't, but I let it go. But sitting in Mia's kitchen that morning, something inside me hardened. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. I didn't belong in that house anymore. Maybe I never had. I wasn't their daughter, I was their safety net, their invisible backup plan. And when they didn't need me anymore or when I stopped playing along, they called it betrayal. So I decided to disappear. I stopped paying the bills. Lily texted me, "Did you cancel the electricity?" I didn't answer. 3 minutes later, the power's out. The internet's down. I have exams this week. This isn't funny. Still, I said nothing. Then my mother called. I let it ring until it stopped. A minute later, she left a voicemail. I listened to it on speaker, sitting cross-legged on the floor. Her voice was cold and controlled. "Kathy, I don't know what's going on with the bills, but we've been getting calls from the utility companies. The gas is late, and Lily's tuition portal says she's locked out. I assume there's been some kind of mix-up. Call me back when you get this." She didn't say thank you. She didn't ask if I was okay. It was just confusion masked as concern. By the 4th day, my father started sending short, hesitant texts. "Hey, just checking in. Lily's portal is still frozen. Any chance you're still linked to that?" I didn't respond. It wasn't because I was angry, it was because I finally understood the power of silence. On the 6th day, I got a bank alert. Someone tried to log into one of the family accounts I had removed myself from. Invalid credentials. A reset request was sent, but they couldn't answer the security question. I had changed it. What was the name of Kathy's first pet? The answer was Max, and no one remembered that. On the 8th day, my mother tried again. "You made your point, but this is childish. You can't just pull away from your responsibilities and leave us hanging. We're still family." I almost laughed. To her, it was all about responsibilities, not love or memories. By the 10th day, I could sense the panic setting in. I started getting messages from Lily's friends and distant relatives, all saying things like, "Hey, hope you're okay. Your mom mentioned there's been some confusion." But no one asked what had really happened. They just wanted me to fix everything. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, while I was folding laundry, I got a message from an old neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins. She lived 2 houses down from my parents, was a single mother who ran a small photography business on the side. She used to babysit me and Lily when we were kids. She taught me how to ride a bike. The preview of her message stopped me cold. "Kathy, I need to show you something. I heard what Lily did, and I have proof she lied." I clicked on the message. There was an audio file. No explanation, just a play button and a timestamp. I sat down, pressed play, and listened. At first, I could hear the backyard chatter, birds singing, and glasses clinking. Then, a clear voice, high-pitched and unmistakably Lily's. Of course I planted it. I needed people to see her for what she is. Mom always says Kathy acts so perfect. Let's see how perfect she looks when she's kicked out. There was a second voice, one of her friends, giggling. Then Lily again, she won't fight back. She never does. That's the point. My ears rang. It wasn't because I was surprised, it was because hearing it, really hearing it, was like having my worst fear confirmed. I closed my eyes and let the words echo in my head. Mrs. Jenkins' next message said, I was taking pictures of the garden for a wedding job. My microphone picked up their conversation by accident. I didn't realize what she said until I listened back. I've already sent it to the dean's office at her school. Someone like her shouldn't get away with this. I stared at my screen for a long time. I didn't know what to say. Thank you didn't seem enough. She had framed me, lied without a second thought, and watched me get pushed out of my home with satisfaction. And now her own words were coming back to haunt her. I copied the file, saved it to a backup drive, and then shut my laptop. I didn't have a revenge plan, I just wanted to stay silent. 3 days later, Lily went quiet on social media. Her carefully curated life, the brunch photos, the self-congratulatory captions, all disappeared overnight. Whispers started spreading among her classmates. She's the one from the audio. Did you hear what she did to her sister? It's kind of sociopathic. The clip made it to a student forum, and someone added subtitles. The post said, your family's golden child isn't so golden. And still, I said nothing. She was called into a disciplinary hearing, and then another. It wasn't just for the false accusation, there was also a plagiarism case from last semester that had been covered up. Apparently, she had used an AI tool to write a term paper and lied about it. This time, no one protected her. She was suspended. While Lily was dealing with the consequences of her actions, I was at work. My manager, Mr. Davis, called me into his office one morning. He was a reserved man, always well-dressed, and known for his understatements. I had been with the company for 5 years, long enough to know when something was changing. He looked at me and then at a folder on his desk. You've been showing up like clockwork, even when your life has been falling apart. That takes a lot of determination, he said. I didn't say anything. I never shared my personal life with him. But I guess people notice more than we think. He slid the folder across to me. There's a position opening up in our Denver office. It's a lateral promotion, more autonomy, and a better salary. Think of it as a fresh start. I opened the folder. The offer was real. The salary was good, and the relocation stipend was generous. You don't have to decide right away, he added. But I think you've earned this opportunity. I said yes before he finished speaking. That night, I packed my few belongings into 3 boxes, 1 suitcase, a new pair of headphones, and a file labeled canceled accounts. Mia cried a little when I left. She wasn't sad, she understood what this meant. You never needed them to say sorry, she told me. You just needed a place where they couldn't reach you. Denver was colder than I expected, but the view from my 12th floor apartment was worth it. I didn't decorate much. Just a framed black and white photo of a woman walking alone on a beach above my desk. No caption, just a sense of movement. I started filming videos in my kitchen. I called the channel Silent Strength. My first video was titled They Called Me a Thief. I was the one paying the bills. I didn't name names or show faces. I just told the truth about money, boundaries, and the cost of being the quiet one. The video got 10,000 views in 3 days, then 50,000, and then 100,000. Women started writing to me. My sister did the same thing to me. My parents used my credit and made me feel like I owed them. Thank you. I thought I was the only one. I started filming weekly. I shared budgeting tips, ways to set boundaries, and stories about silent financial abuse, a term most people didn't even know existed. Sponsors reached out, a podcast invited me to speak, and a local women's shelter asked if they could use my videos in their program. I said yes to all of it. It wasn't about being in the spotlight, it was about finally being heard. One day, I got a call from an old number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Kathy, the voice said. It was slow and warm, familiar in a way I couldn't place until she said her name. "This is Aunt Rose, your father's sister." I hadn't heard from her since I was a child. She used to send me birthday cards with little gifts. Then one year, she stopped. My mother said she had moved away and didn't want to be part of the family anymore. "I've been following your story," she said. "Someone sent me your video, and I think it's time you knew something. After your grandmother passed, she left a small trust in her will. It was meant for you, just you." I was speechless. I didn't know how to respond. "I only found out recently," she continued. "I ran into the estate lawyer. He assumed you'd already received it, but when I told him you hadn't, he showed me the file. According to the will, the trust was supposed to activate when you turned 23. It was meant to help you start something, a business, a project, anything you wanted. The amount is $82,000. Aunt Rose told me that after the funeral, my parents had asked the lawyer to delay contacting me, saying I was too overwhelmed and not ready for the responsibility. Legally, they couldn't withdraw the funds, but they could control the information, and they did, for 7 years. I filed the paperwork the next morning. 3 weeks later, the funds were transferred into my account. There was no fanfare, no apology, just a number on the screen and a sense of peace in my chest. That night, I deleted the folder where I used to keep all the receipts and unpaid bills, the things I'd promised myself to forget. Then I opened a blank document and titled it "What Comes Next." For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to earn what was rightfully mine. 2 weeks after the trust was cleared, I got a text from my mother. "Can we please talk, Kathy?" No apology, just a request, as if none of it had happened. I didn't reply. The next day, Lily sent an email. She said she'd made mistakes, that people had been hard on her after the suspension, and that she was trying to improve herself. She ended with, "I hope you're doing well." I didn't answer that either. I wasn't angry, I just didn't owe her anything anymore. Then, a cousin I barely remembered called. "I heard you're famous now," she said. "Mom said you have hundreds of thousands of followers and you're helping people." I said I was doing okay. She paused and then asked, "Do you think your parents watch your videos?" I hadn't thought about it, but that night, I wondered. It wasn't because I wanted them to see me, it was because they'd spent so long pretending I didn't exist, and now I was everywhere, in people's timelines, in their comments, in podcast introductions. I live alone now, in my quiet 12th floor apartment. In the mornings, I drink coffee by the window and answer emails from people I'll never meet. They tell me their stories of being erased by their families, of siblings who stole their identities, of parents who only called when they needed money. And I listen. I respond. I remind them that their absence is not the crime, it's their family's comfort with their silence. At night, I film. I don't use a script. I just talk. Some videos are short, and some take shape slowly, like finding a rhythm in my breath. I talk about budgeting, about learning to say no, about walking away without a fight, about surviving without becoming bitter. Silent Strength now has over 600,000 subscribers. It's amazing how many people needed permission to stop saving those who never saw them. I haven't spoken to my parents in almost a year. Lily left me a voice message once. She sounded tired and small. "You were right, about everything," she said. Then she paused. "I don't think anyone else ever will be." I didn't reply, but I didn't delete it either. Some things are meant to be heard just once. Aunt Rose sends me postcards now. She signs them in cursive, always with a line that feels like a blessing. "You're exactly who she hoped you'd be." She means my grandmother, the one who left me something when no one else did. Some evenings, I walk along the river downtown. I wear headphones not for music, but to block out the world. I watch couples arguing, dogs pulling on leashes, and children running through the grass. No one knows me here, and that's the way I like it. I'm not the quiet sister anymore, not the fixer, not the background. I'm just Kathy, and I've finally found my own place in the world.